Have you ever noticed or experienced how a small disagreement suddenly turns into a heated argument that feels way bigger than the situation itself? Almost like there is a fuel behind the fire that doesn't even belong to that moment. That's unresolved anger leaking into unrelated arguments, and it happens more often than you think. If you have ever wondered why you snap harder than you meant to, or why little things suddenly feel unbearable, this video is for you.
Namaste, I'm Dr. Pooja Patel and welcome to Tatva Within. I'm a holistic life coach and author. Here I talk about holistic self mastery. For more details on one to one coaching courses and free resources, check the description below.
Anger never disappears just because you ignore it. It gets stored in your nervous system, in your body, like unprocessed data waiting for a release. When you don't process anger, whether from a fight months ago, a childhood wound, or even stress from work, it doesn't vanish. It sits there quietly until some unrelated trigger gives it a doorway to come rushing out. When you don't deal with anger at the moment it happens, it doesn't just disappear. It stays inside you, waiting. And because you might not feel ready or safe to express where it belongs, it shows up later in a different place, like in an unrelated argument. That's why you might find yourself snapping at your partner, a friend, or even a coworker over something small. Have you ever caught yourself saying something like, why am I so mad about this little thing? That's usually a clue that the anger isn't really about that moment, it's about the feeling that were never spoken or released. Have you ever caught yourself reacting bigger than the situation deserved? Let me know in the comments. Here is another layer. Unresolved anger can disguise itself. Sometimes it shows up as irritability, sarcasm, or impatience. Other times it shows up as withdrawal or emotional numbness. Neuroscience explains this through the amygdala, the part of your brain wired for threat detection. When old anger isn't processed, your amygdala stays hyper alert, almost like a smoke alarm that goes off at the slightest spark. That's why someone's tone of voice or a look they give you can feel 10 times more threatening than it actually is. Have you ever caught yourself overreacting and later thinking that wasn't really about them? Now, here is what most people miss. Unresolved anger doesn't just affect the argument, it affects the relationship. Because anger weakens the ability to listen and understand. The other person doesn't just hear your words, they feel the weight of everything behind them. It creates confusion because they are arguing about this and you are reacting to that. Over time, this dynamic can make relationship fragile, but the opposite is also true. When you learn to face and process your anger at its source, you can avoid unrelated arguments in the first place. So, what's the real takeaway here? Anger is not the enemy. Unprocessed anger is. When you face it directly, it loses the need to leak into every other part of your life. But when you avoid it, it builds pressure until the smallest spark sets it off. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Deal with the emotion at the source, not at the surface. So the next time you feel yourself getting way angrier than the situation calls for, pause and ask, what is this really about? That simple reflection can shift everything. If this resonated, like the video, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribe to the channel for more conversations like this. I'll see you in the next. Take care.